Hi and welcome to Meeple Leaf. I'm Nick Angiers. Today I'm going to teach you how to play That's Pretty Clever, also known by its German name Ganz schön clever, which I've been told means about the same thing. This is a roll and write game for 1 to 4 players, and here we go. So we'll start with the easy part, how I made this and how you can make it too. Very simple. I just downloaded this print and play file. I'll put a link in the description, and this is the sheet that you need to play the game. I laminated one, so you can play that with a regular dry erase marker, or you can just print it on regular paper, not laminate it, and then use a Sharpie or a pen. For the dice, you do need these 6 colors of dice. As you can see, they don't match. I repurposed them from other games. And for the orange one, I couldn't find an orange die, so I just used this orange cube and drew pips on it with a Sharpie. As long as the dice match these 6 colors, then you're good to go. You can use different colors, but it'll just be confusing, and I recommend just trying to find these colors, or as close as you can to these 6 colors. You'll also need something to take place with a silver platter. You can just use a coaster, or if you have a plate at home, especially a silver one, that'll work great. And now on to how you play the game. So if you look at the score sheet here, it looks like there's quite a bit going on, but it's actually quite straightforward. I'll take you through one area at a time. At the top here, you have your 3 spaces for putting the dice that you use when it's your turn. At the top, you have the number of rounds. So if you're playing with the full 4 players, you'll just do the 4 rounds. If you have 3 players, you'll do 1 extra round. And if you have just 1 or 2 players, you'll do 6 rounds. So the fewer players you have, the more rounds you do. These are bonuses that you get for the first 4 rounds. And these are where you mark your bonuses. So there's 2 types of bonuses. I'll come back to those. At the very bottom here, you'll see that there's an area for marking your score, and the boxes correspond to the different colors of boxes and rows up here. So the object of the game, of course, is to get the highest number of total points at the end of the number of rounds that you're playing. Okay, now on to the main part of the score sheet. So you'll see that you have a yellow box, a blue box, and then 3 rows, green, orange, and purple. Those, of course, all correspond to the different colors of dice. Each color of die scores in a different way. So depending on which die you choose, you're going to mark off a square in one of these 5 areas. The white one is wild, that's why there's no white area. First I'll show you just briefly what each of the areas does, and then I'll go through what you do on a turn. So the yellow area, say I take a yellow die, say it's a 4. So I took a yellow die, and then on the yellow grid here, you will see that there are a 4 here and a 4 here. There's also 2 of every number, and then there's some X's here for blank spots. What you're trying to do in the yellow area is you're trying to complete rows and columns. So if I put this 4 here, which I'd mark off with my erasable marker, so if I use a 4, mark off that, then I'd keep that on my score sheet, right? When I continue to fill up this row, then once I do that, something good will happen. So in this case, you're getting a bonus, okay? And if I fill this column, I'll get 20 points. So the yellow has points at the bottom and bonuses at the right. I'll explain what the bonuses do at the end. It'll make much more sense then. Now let's say I take a blue die. So there's a little reminder here that the blue is always combined with the white. So whatever you roll on the blue die, you add the white to that. So here I've got 2 plus 2 is 4, so I could cross off the 4. Remember I said white was a wild die, so if you choose to use the white as the wild die, then you combine it with the blue, and that would give you the same number. But that'll give you some more flexibility. Don't worry too much about how the white works yet. Green, okay, so green, if you use a green, you'll see down here that it has to be equal to or greater than 1. So if you have a green 1, you can put it here, and you just mark that off. And at the end of the game, you'll get 1 point for that. You have to keep going up. They go up to 5, so greater than or equal to 5, and then it goes back to 1. At the end of the game, whatever is the last square, you have to go in order, of course. The last square that you cross off, that's going to be your score for green. Oh, by the way, for blue, your score is up top. So if you have 9 squares crossed off, then you'll get 37 points. It also unlocks some bonuses. On to orange. So these 3 rows, as indicated by the arrow here, they all have to go in order. Orange, you can put any number you want. The higher the better, because whatever number you put, that's the number of points you're going to get at the end of the game. You just add them all up. There are a few times 2s here, so if I rolled a 6 on that turn, so these 3 are all full, I roll a 6, that's really good, because then I can put 12 in there, 12 points for that one die. And whenever you complete a square, you'll unlock more bonuses. So there's a lot of comboing and chaining in this game. That's what it's all about. It starts off slow, but then once you get to the last 1 or 2 rounds, there's tons of combos happening every turn. It's crazy. And finally is purple. So purple, you just have to go up from smallest to larger, okay? So if I put a 1 in here, on the next turn I can put anything in here. Just like orange, you'll get the number of points equal to all the numbers that you put in here. So any number is greater than 1. If I have a 5 in here, then I have to put a 6, and then it resets. So I could do 4 in here, and then maybe another 6. Yeah, those are all really good scores. And likewise, unlock bonuses as you go. So that's how the different score areas work. Next, you're going to want to know how a turn works. So in each round, each player will take a turn being the active player. Let's get this out of here. What the active player does is they take all 6 dice, gonna roll them. Wow, okay, I got lots of 1s. So of these dice, say I'm the active player, I'm gonna choose one of these to put on my sheet in one of these slots. You usually for the first round want to take a lower one, because if you take one that's higher than other dice, all the dice that are lower than the one you took are going to go on the silver platter. And it's like you're handing those dice to the other players. At the end of the round, there are going to be dice that get put on the silver platter, but you want to leave yourself as many options as possible. So for example, if I took one of these 1s, nothing would get on the platter just yet. But if I took the 3, all 5 of these are going to go on the platter. And that's not good, because then I'd only be getting 1 die. So I'm going to choose one of these 1s to take. I think I'm going to choose the blue or the white, and I'm going to do a 2 on here, because 2 is quite hard to get. A 7, there's lots of different combinations to get a 7, but 2, you really have to get a 1 and a 2. And I could choose the blue and put and keep the white. Yeah, I think I'll do that. I was thinking of taking the white, and then that way it denies the white going on there. So I just cross that off. Now what I do is, since I didn't put any on the platter, I'm going to take all 5 remaining ones. Okay, also some lower ones. And as you'd expect, if I take the yellow or the white, all these 1s are going to go away. So, okay, I'm going to take the green, because you just need a 1 or higher to get the green. It's not partial to how many you do. And then I have 1 more roll. So you get 3 rolls on each turn, unless you waste dice. Okay, now I probably want to take a higher one, because I can. Now, if I take the white, it can be anything, right? So I could take that as a green, or even a yellow. And I kind of want to deny my opponents that. So yeah, I think I'll take the white. And then I'll choose a 3 on here. There's 2 of each number. Now these, without being rolled, are going to go onto here. What happens next is, all of the other players, they get to choose one of these. They don't take it. They just choose orange 2 or a yellow 1 or a purple 4, and then they mark that off on their score sheet. So you're getting something each turn. We'll take one of those. Multiple players can take the same one, and that's how a turn works. Now we're going to go on to the next player. So the next player is going to roll. They do their thing, and then when they have 3 dice left on the platter, I, as the initial player, I'm going to choose one of those, mark it on my sheet, so I can mark the other one. I can't do the green because it has to be 2 or higher. And wherever the white is, you're going to combine that with the blue if you choose to do the blue. So I could take blue 1, which would combine with the 3, no matter where it is, doesn't matter. So I could do a 4 here. Lots of things you could do, especially in the beginning, you have lots of options. What you don't want to do is focus too much. So you kind of want to spread yourself around. And the reason for that is these fox heads. So now I can talk about the bonuses. if you do an X, then you get to cross off any square on here of an X. If you cross off a 4 orange, you get to put a 4 orange in your next spot. These take place right away. And X is you get to cross off the next green space for green X, and so on. The black ones are giving you these bonuses. Now what the fox heads do is, I like how in this print and play version it has the scoring down here, because the original version's on the back of the sheet. I find this works way better. So fox is going to be your last one here, the red. So you mark the number of fox heads. Say you have 2. And then each fox head is equal to your lowest score on any of the other 5. So if I had only 16 on orange, but I had 40 or more on all the other ones, 2 fox heads times 16 would be 32 for that. But if my lowest score was 20, then I'd have 40 for my red spot. That's how fox heads work. And up here is the bonuses. So the sync, it looks like a sync button. It's a reroll button. What that means is at the beginning of your turn, when you're the active player only works when you're the active player. So you roll all your dice, right? And then you can decide to take a reroll all the dice, all of them. Gain the +1, that's a really powerful ability. So when you use a +1, it means that at the end of your turn or another player's turn, once the 3 dice have been put on the platter, you can choose to use another number. Okay, so if you're the active player, you can choose from your own dice to reuse one, or you can take one from the silver platter. By taking, I mean you just use the number, you don't actually take the die. If you're the inactive player, then you can choose from the dice on the platter, and you just mark that on your sheet, whatever you did. You can use multiple +1s on a turn. You can even use a +1 for a die that you've already used if you're the active player, or even if you're the inactive player. But you can't use a +1 multiple times on the same die, so you can't just spam one die. How you get these bonuses is the beginning of each round, you'll start with a bonus, so I usually just mark it off with a dot. That means that's unlocked, and then when I use it, I just cross it off. Same with +1s. And all these spaces on here correspond to where you unlock it from. So you have these ones up here, and then the rest are all over the board. As you unlock them, you get to put the dot there. And on round 4, you'll either get to put an X anywhere. Well, I say anywhere, but it's really just these 3, because these are the only 3 that use X's. These 2 use numbers. Or you can put a 6 on either one of these. Your choice. So that's it. You keep going until you've completed the number of rounds, based on the number of players you have, of course. Add up your total score, and the highest score wins. I forgot to mention, if you're playing this through Skype or Zoom, then only one person needs the dice. They can just roll for everybody. Of course, if everybody has a set of dice, then it'll be a little bit easier, because then you can just put the corresponding dice onto the platter as if you were in real time. But it might be a little bit hard to get all those dice together. So at least one person needs the dice. If you have any questions, just let me know in the comments below, and thanks so much for watching.